These visions you have.
They're of pain, suffering, death.
Careful you must be when sensing the future, Anakin. The fear of loss is a path to the dark side.
Anakin did not take to his new assignment with much enthusiasm.
It's very dangerous putting them together.
You're asking me to do something against the Jedi Code.
I don't think the boy can handle it. I don't trust him.
I think they see something in you they fear.
Cannot let 1,000 years of democracy disappear without a fight.
Agreed.
Yes, General Kenobi. We've been waiting for you. I'm sorry, sir.
Surely, you have felt it. The dark side has never been stronger.
I am going to end this once and for all.
Sense great fear in you, Skywalker.
We got
I
this.
gotta get Zach in there. Hold on a second. Hi guys, welcome. And let me get Zach. I gotta get his link in there.
Maria is so technically savvy.
I am not.
Beautiful.
I am not.
So beautiful.
There we go. Okay.
Zacharias Mavericks made it.
You're in.
I slid in there.
All right, guys. So the panel is here. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. I'm going to go through some topics that we're going to cover today, and then we'll come back to these guys. So hold that thought. I just want to make sure I had Zach's camera set up right there. So let's get to it. Welcome. How's everybody doing? Everybody doing? So welcome to the stream, guys. It is my first YouTube stream, so we will, I will make do. I'm a little bit nervous. I gotta admit about that. But we are going to go through some topics today. We really want to talk about the project, but we also want to talk about Star Wars, of course. And so we are going to start with an introduction to the team. I'm going to go through each one of our team members and kind of see, you know, what everybody does in the project. We have cast and crew, so we'll be kind of going through each one of them as we come back to them in a second here. And then, of course, we're going to celebrate. It's Star Wars Day, the real one. It is May 25th, and in May 25th, 1977, we got A New Hope. That was our, you know, first introduction for many of us, especially if you're as old as me, to Star Wars. So, you know, we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then we're going to talk about fan films in general and how they are evolving and some of the things that I'm doing personally to kind of push that along. You know, fan films, I mean, boy, let me tell you, Star Wars has the absolute most fan films of any franchise out there, hands down. And that is because the maker himself made that happen. So thank you, George. And then we're going to talk about the only chosen one, our favorite Anakin Skywalker. So that was the video of Revenge of the Sith made by one of our own, Alex Daniel, who is AD Edits on YouTube. A lot of you guys know him already. So, and then of course we're going to transition a little bit. And you know, there's, you know, we can't get away from it, but we'll talk a little bit about the division in the fandom and what this group here is trying to do in order to, you know, heal those cracks in the code, if you will. And you know, we really want to make sure that folks understand that this particular project has all kinds of fans from all 9 films, you know, lovers, haters on both sides. And we managed to come together to make this project happen. And if we can do that, I feel like we can heal the fandom as a whole. And then, of course, I'm going to talk about the elephant in the room because I'm going to be showing you guys the trailer, the teaser trailer. Some of you have seen it already, but if you haven't, we'll be showing that here as well. And we'll talk about, you know, Ben Solo and the resurrection of Ben Solo. Because yeah, that's kind of what we're doing. I'm not, there's no qualms about that. And we'll also talk about Rey and how we can find ways to make her better. In some instances, you know, some opinions share that, you know, she might have been a little too overpowered. Everything kind of came too easy for her. Well, we're going to change that. We're going to round her out, make her a much better character in these 3 films. And we'll talk about that. And then I want to talk about how we can all find common ground from both folks that, you know, absolutely love the sequels to folks that absolutely hate the sequels. There's got to be a way that we can kind of come together and, you know, be better about it, right? And find that common ground. And then we're going to finish strong because what I believe is a great common ground for everybody is the Old Republic. I don't think I've ever met a fan that has an unkind word to say about the Old Republic. From folks like me who are old enough to have played those video games when they first were released, Knights of the Old Republic, to the people that play Star Wars The Old Republic MMO, right? And have seen all of those cinematics. They love those stories, and I think that's a great piece of common ground for us. All right. Let's bring in the panel, and I'll introduce each and every single one of them. And the cameras take a little bit to load. That's okay. All right, welcome, guys. You are all now hot mics.
Hello. Welcome.
Was we not
Ready to roll.
We're ready to roll.
I thought we was on screen this whole time. I've been posing and
We were
everything.
talking all this shit. No, I'm totally kidding.
No. So to my, well, it's my left, but it's your right. We have the one, the only X-Wing. Say hi.
Hello. How's
Hi,
it going,
X-Wing.
everybody?
Hello.
And then right next to him, we have the Shapeshifter. Everybody pretty much knows him. He is, he can change his voice quite a bit, so he's quite excellent at that. These two guys are part of our cast. X-Wing plays Emperor Vitiate, and I can't wait to talk about that. We have been waiting to talk about that for so long. But yes, Emperor Vitiate is coming back. So, woohoo! And of course, the Shapeshifter is lending his voice as the one, the only, the chosen one, Anakin Skywalker.
Woo! This is where the fun begins.
Yes! And then below us, we have our wonderful part. These guys are all part of my team. And I have two teams. And you guys are probably going to be like, wait, two? Yes, we have two teams. We have the Wizards team, who is the team that is actually putting together all of the films, because there is multiple films to this project. So the chosen one is the first, but we are going to have two other films, episode 11 and episode 12. And then there's the Hot Shots team. And the Hot Shots team is going to put together the TV series. And in the chat, we have one half of my writing team. And on stream, we have the other half. And that's Zach. He's going to come and help us write the TV series. And Catherine Newsom is the other part. And she's going to be also helping us to write the TV series. So we're going to be working together. Yes, the MVP.
Absolutely.
And Catherine will also be helping us to write the TV series. So how that works is basically we are going to have 3 films, and there's going to be a 10-year gap in between each film. So between episode 10 and episode 11, there's a 10-year content gap, not in real life, but in story. And we're going to use those 10 years to tell what happens in between. That's the name of the show. And that's the part that we'll tell in a series of shorts. And my thought process around that was to kind of showcase the various methods of storytelling with the TV series, which is kind of exciting. I don't think this has ever been done before. So the one thing I can't do is live action, but that's the one medium I can't do. Maybe. But
this medium's still pretty cool, though.
Well, 3D animation is more expensive than live action, I'm going to tell you right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we are going to be doing the animation style that we're using for our movies, which is motion graphic animation. We're also going to be doing audio dramas, like live audio dramas with our cast. Fabulous. Love that. We're going to be doing like audio style novelizations, so writing novels and then having one of our cast members perform that. And then we're also going to be doing live comic strips. So we're going to be having a comic book artist come in and do all the comics. And so each episode might be different. We're also, of course, going to have 2D and 3D animation as well. So every single episode that you see could be a different medium. But I feel like Star Wars as a whole, right, represents all of those mediums. And so I felt like we should definitely give a nod and an ode, right, to that kind of storytelling. So the TV series will have, I'm thinking it's going to be probably an episode every 2 weeks. Each episode will be around 15 or so minutes, give or take. And of course, they'll be in those different styles every week. So if you like comic strips, you're going to love those types of episodes. If you like your audiobooks, which some of them are so fantastic, right, X-Wing?
Oh my God, Mark Thompson is my hero, man.
Right? Yes. And so some of them are so awesome. So you're going to have that. So if you like that, you're going to have that. And, we're going to have a lot of different things throughout. Specifically on this channel, we are going to be doing some podcasts. We're going to be doing Rewrite Star Wars, which is one of our things that I'm going to be doing with Zach and Catherine. Hopefully, if Catherine will allow herself to be on camera. And so we will be doing that, and where we actually go back and look at all of the the Star Wars TV shows and all that kind of stuff, and kind of sit down with you guys. And I'm going to load up Final Draft, which is the standard in Hollywood for screenwriting. And we're going to rewrite those episodes, and some of them really need it. Right? Yes. So we're going to do that live with you guys. So you'll be able to kind of drive that story a little bit. So I think that was...
We got the MEU here, man. The Maria Expanded Universe.
That's right. That's right. And then when we get to episode 11, so as our Hot Shots team is working to build the episodes, our Wizards team will be working to do episode 11. And so we're really, really excited as that continues. There's also another 10-year gap in between 11 and 12, and there'll be more seasons of the TV show that cover that timeline. So pretty extensive. Right? Pretty extensive, but yeah.
Yeah, a lot planned for sure.
A lot going on.
Yeah,
Usually it's like people are like, oh, we'll do one fan film and we'll see what happens. Maria already has like the next 20 years mapped out. So
yeah. Exactly. And for those of you that have been playing Star Wars Jedi Survivor, Catherine, shout out to Catherine LaSalle, who I've been watching her diligently pull through.
Die endlessly.
Yes. Hey, no. She's just tenacious. That's it.
Tenacious.
Good way to put it.
And for those of you that really enjoy Cal Kestis' story, he'll make an entrance in our trilogy, and he will be old by this timeline. So we'll see what he's been up to. We get to tell that story a bit. So, all right. So I think for the next part, I really want to focus in on Star Wars Day. Today is real Star Wars Day. It is May 25th, and in 1977, we got the very first part of that. So let's hear what we have to say. On May 25th, 1977, Star Wars A New Hope was released worldwide. It launched a lifelong obsession with this franchise that means so much to every one of us. Our love for this franchise is what has connected us together. We're now all forever friends. Yes, I would say for sure we are all forever friends. Wouldn't you guys say? We're stuck together. So I want to kind of open it up a little bit. I mean, I'm 48. I was 3 years old when the first movie came out, so I didn't get to see it in theaters. The first Star Wars film that I saw in theaters was Return of the Jedi in '83. But I distinctly remember watching A New Hope with my dad, who he was the absolute fan that kind of introduced me to Star Wars. And we watched it on Betamax. So, yeah, I'm kind of that old.
Whatever that means.
I don't even know what that is.
What is that?
I have no idea what that is.
My earliest memory is I watched Phantom Menace when I was like, I was like 4 years old, 5 years old, and the family was like making, like baked beans or something. And I'm like, what's that? And they're like, oh, your cousins are all watching Star Wars in the room. You should go watch it. I'm like, what's that? I didn't even know what it was at the time, really. I go over there and I watched it, and I was watching the pod race. The pod race was the very first scene I ever saw. And I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. And I'm like, I remember seeing everyone crashing. I'm like, oh, did he die? Did that person die too? Holy crap, what's happening, right? It was visceral. It still holds up today. And as far as like all the other films go, Revenge of the Sith I was the only one I saw like in the theaters, like from the original 6, right? Because I was old enough to go and everything, and I was just bawling my eyes out, like brutally. I could not handle it, and it stuck with me ever since. Revenge of the Sith has been like my favorite of all time. I don't have any memories of any of the others first time watching, but as far as I go, I've been a prequel kid since as long as I can remember.
Yeah. Yeah, I ran into Return of the Jedi first because my brother had a copy of Return of the Jedi. So that's always going to be like the antithesis of Star Wars for me, is going to be Return of the Jedi. But after that, I actually watched the original trilogy in reverse order. So I watched Return, then Empire, then Star Wars. And then I went to the theaters to see the first three in the correct order. And yeah, I'm always going to be a prequel baby, but I mean, something in my brain is always going to peg the original Star Wars trilogy as Star Wars. It's incredible. So when it comes to like the May the 4th and May 25th, they're both wins for me because we get an extra Star Wars day. 2 times in a month, we get 2 Star Wars days. I'm fine with that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What about you, Tyler?
Oh, well, my dad, being in his 20s. No, I'm kidding. He's a lot older than that. But
he's probably my age, right?
No, he's in his 50s, and he saw episode 4 in a drive-in theater. That's how old he was. And ever since then, it was basically a religion. So I couldn't watch the first 3 until I had watched 4, 5, and 6. I remember watching it on one of the big box TVs that had the rest of the TV in the back, unlike today.
Yes, the boob tubes, they were called.
And, being a kid, I was just zoned in on the explosions and the blasters and the lightsabers. And I liked the action. Like, when I first saw episode 2, I would fast forward through the rest of the movie just to get to the battle again. But as I got older, eventually,
yeah,
for the Republic.
Oh yeah.
So obviously, for obvious reasons, I fell in love with the clones. If that wasn't evident enough, but yeah, been a Star Wars fan ever since. Always will be.
Yeah.
No, I was the complete opposite. I grew up in a family that didn't like sci-fi, never watched Star Wars, so I had to discover it myself. I went to the cinema with a friend. I think it was episode 1. Must have been 10 years old, and I was obsessed. But I had no one to talk to about it because my family hated it. Not didn't hate it. They didn't even know what it was. They didn't watch any sci-fi at all. So friends as well, they wasn't that interested in Star Wars either. So I was kind of alone in that. So I got obsessed with Star Wars by myself. And I think I actually skipped episode 2. And then when 3 came about, and you're hearing all about, you see the trailers of Darth Vader, and you're seeing more familiar stuff, then people from my world started to get involved a little bit more. And I think that's when my love actually started. It was Revenge of the Sith. As soon as that hit the cinema, then I had someone to talk to about it, and was obsessed ever since then. It was Revenge of the Sith that got me fully into Star Wars. But yeah, I didn't discover the originals till much later. I remember being quite free. I think I was 12, 13, but I remember I think I watched Empire Strikes Back before A New Hope, and I remember being a bit freaked out with the Dagobah stuff and all that. I remember being a bit freaked out. I was quite,
right?
It was a bit scary, but I was just it just didn't hit. It just didn't land with me. I was much older when that stuff landed. I liked Return of the Jedi. I think I really gravitated towards Return of the Jedi, but Empire Strikes Back, I had to appreciate that much later on in life. And yeah, it was very backwards. It's all over the place. It was episode 1, then 3, then 5, and then 4. It was just very jumbled up. But,
what's his accent? Yeah. What's your accent there, mate?
I mean, that's
Australian.
pretty Australian now.
He's
Alex
Coruscant.
Yeah. And I guess, if you didn't have anybody to talk to for so long, do you remember what was the first circle that you had where you were could openly geek out with someone else about Star Wars?
Yeah, it was probably university. It was
Wow.
much later on. Yeah. I mean, I liked it when I was 10 years old. I had so much all the toys, I had all the lightsabers. I had Darth Maul's lightsaber when I was 10 years old. But yeah, I didn't start discussing it and properly getting into it until much later. I must have been 17, 18.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then
I mean,
what was
weird,
it?
Right?
And Zach, how about you? When was your introduction into Star Wars, and how did you fall in love with it?
Yeah. I remember being roughly 4, and my aunt would babysit me for my mom, and she didn't know what to do with a 4-year-old boy, so she tucked me away in my uncle's office, put Return of the Jedi on VHS, and I just sat there, and my 4-year-old brain had never seen anything like Star Wars before, and my 26-year-old brain still has never seen anything like Star Wars before. It's always just felt different, and I was just so enamored with all the different aliens in Jabba's palace, and the stormtroopers, and of course Darth Vader. It was incredible. And then the prequels were coming out around that time, so I started watching those, and I just have an appreciation for the prequels and the originals because of that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that I think and that's the thing. I mean, you'll find a Star Wars fan no matter where you go, right? Like, I have been in a McDonald's, right, ordering some food, and somebody's wearing like a Star Wars T-shirt. I mean, you run into them all the time, and you're like, "Oh, cool shirt, bro," and they're like, "Yeah, man, I love Star Wars." When you get to talking about it, it's so great. I think it's like that one connective tissue that the world has, right? No matter where you are, it could be in Great Britain, it could be in Australia, it could be in Japan, right? Like, it's so common amongst all the fans. It's like such an unifying thing. So thank you, George Lucas, for bringing that to us and giving us that and doing the gift of that, because that's pretty special.
Thank the maker.
Thank the maker. Right? Thank the maker.
Technically my father.
Yeah, for sure. And then oh my gosh, you know what I did not do? I did not bring up my notebook that has all of the topics. But
well, I will say on that note, to fill space, yes, I turned Star Wars I turned most sci-fi and fandoms off for like all of high school, because I was like too concerned with like fitting in, sports, girls, everything. I wasn't even focused on that at all. And then once I started my channel, that's when I started getting into, unfortunately, that's when I started watching Clone Wars, which was in college. Like, I was so late to the game for all animation, and the channel is really what kind of threw me back into the world, and I haven't left since. So like 100%, really at the end of the day, it's Star Wars that got me into the film industry. So I owe everything I have to George Lucas.
And you and Zach went to film school, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah, and we met. Me and Zach met in film school. Yeah.
So you had that one buddy that got you. He got you.
Dude, he was just quoting in class. He's just quoting Anakin lines, Obi-Wan lines, and every single moment where it fit, right? Yeah. Like just quoting it and adding it to it, and I was just like, dude, I love this guy. Like, he remembers like pretty much every line from everything, right? And I'm just like, I don't even know that much, man. And then I was thinking, I'm like, I'm terrible at video essays. I'm terrible at talking about Star Wars, right? Because I don't know like all the ins and outs of everything. You, Maria, you know everything. Zach pretty much knows everything too. So I'm like, Zach, why don't you come on and let's do a channel? You can do like video essays. We can do a podcast. And I just, because I saw like he had it all, and I was like, why not try to build another channel with them? And that's what we've been doing. So.
That's why I'm here.
There it is. They're just so quotable. Everything is quotable in the prequels.
Everything. And I think the two of you also made friends with Catherine, who's also on your podcast now. So
we made. She was doing reaction videos after her fan film, right? After the Star Wars Theory fan film, she reacted to some of my content, and we connected, and now we do the podcast together too. Yeah. Exactly.
It's used to invite me on there a long time ago, actually, but
I've never been invited. Don't worry.
Okay.
I mean,
neither have I.
The problem is 4 is a crowd, right?
Oh yeah, that's how it is. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I think I made it on there like once or twice.
Did you? Oh, very cool, though.
We need to start having guests on again.
Yeah, I don't think
definitely need to.
Yeah, I don't think he does that. I don't know. But Theory just doesn't. I don't think he brings up guests anymore. I think he pretty much stopped that for a while. But that's okay. All right, so I think now we'll talk a little bit about fan films and how important they are to this ecosystem. I mean, we are all building these fan films, but gosh, there's so many, guys. There are over 82,000 Star Wars-centric fan films out there in the yonder of the internet, and George Lucas had a lot to do with that. He championed the creation of new stories by his fans. It gave birth to the EU/Legends, and he'd want us to continue that legacy. And there we go. Okay.
And we're back.
I know it takes a little while for it. I didn't anticipate that one for the cameras to load in, but that's okay. All right. So I think we can talk a little bit about that. I mean, Alex, you are deep into the fan film stuff.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that sentiment. Right? Like, he was always a big proprietor of allowing people to be creative in his own world. Right? And that's something that is very cool and very special and very different from most studios, if not all studios now. And a big sign of it is, obviously I had the chance to work on most of the Buckethead stuff, right? I worked with Sidemall for his Mace Windu fan film, and then with Vince, I worked with Vince on that. He composed the track for the trailer for that, and that did really well. And a couple others. I can't believe I'm blanking. But yeah, it's just been great seeing like the passion and like the community willing to, I guess, build teams, non-profit, not making any money, just for the passion of the franchise and create their own stories that they haven't seen before, right? And it's unlike any fandom out there, to be honest with you. And I think if there's anyone that can champion, like, hopefully, monetizing, if not helping creators bring their visions to life, it's you, Maria, for sure. Because I remember you reached out to me and I was just like, oh, another fan film, okay, I'll probably do this for a week and then I'll be done, right? And then you're just like, oh yeah, I have this blueprint for 20 years. It's like,
we got 3 movies, 6 TV shows.
I have a team of 100 people. And it was just Matt, like the whole team, her atmosphere, her love for Star Wars as a parent. It's just been probably one of the greatest, like, fulfilling experiences so far, right? We're not even close to being done with the first one, and it's just been so much fun. So I hope that everyone has a chance to work with Maria at some point in that regard, for sure.
Yeah.
Yes. So
lad.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm a big proponent of having following in those footsteps for George Lucas. I mean, that is literally how the expanded universe came about, right? As he started to see fan creating things out there, and he was like, I really like this, or I really like that, and I really like this, and I kind of want to put it all together. So I think that in that space, I think it's really a big deal for us to try to, like, push that forward. And, like, I'm involved in some things where I'm trying to get some reform on the DMCA, which is the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, and trying to get some reform on that, because I feel like in some instances, copyright infringement has gone a little too far.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at King's Advisor, right? I'm looking at King's Advisor right now, and I'm like, right? Because me and him can spend hours talking about that kind of stuff. But I feel like, that if companies really started to kind of work with the fans and work with what they're creating, I mean, they could have an exuberant amount of passive income, meaning they don't have to put in a dime to get any kind of, so there's got to be a way that needs to be introduced to them, so that they can come on board to the creator economy and really, start to see us as partners rather than just people who are crazy about their stuff, right?
And to Alex's point, what better place to do it than Star Wars? We are the most active fan film community out there, hard stop, bottom line. And it's so fun because there are so many different mediums in which it's done. I mean, you get fan books. Have you seen the X-Wing one? They do it in, like, Unreal Engine, and then you've got these comic. You have live action.
Yes.
I mean, it's so broad, and there's so much talent, and there's so much that we have to give. And so just seeing you kind of working into this and saying, like, hey, we can tell stories. We'll even keep it in line with your characters, but we're going to tell these stories. That's what I always think, kind of like almost like Vision should have been. It should have been like the old Star Wars Celebration fan film competition, right? So you get 12 hand-picked, fan films from all over the internet and everywhere, and put that into a series. I think that's something Disney should do yesterday,
right? Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I'm totally crazy that I forgot to mention this, but, like, I was going to say the barrier of entry is far lower than it's ever been, like, ever in the history of filmmaking, right? You can do so much with so little now, as opposed to, it used to be just a few people in the industry, a few people with, like, the expensive equipment, right? And now it's like there can, like, for example, like I can't believe I forgot to mention this, but Pixel Joker's Kenobi fan film, right?
Yeah.
Like, I got to like when he reached out and I got to work with the guy, I'm just like, who are you, right? And then he's like, oh yeah, I worked on Andor. It's like, what? It's like, so, like, there's people that, like, literally are in the industry already, just wanting to express their talent, right? And it's insane. It's not just, like, amateurs. There's a lot of professionals out there. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But sorry, Zach, I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I think that, to use an analogy here, Lucasfilm could use it as, like, a farm league for for talent.
Yeah.
And I think part of working on Star Wars is being passionate about it. So if they could have a crop of people who are passionate and talented, that's a win-win right there.
Right? Look at us go, right? Like I know, right? Like, and that's a long-term vision for me is not just doing Star Wars, but also being able to help other creators bring their ideas to life and have this team build that for them. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of like my vision as everyone here, I've talked about this, is being able to have like an entire team that somebody can, hey, I have this great, especially content creators who today, content creators make a lot of money. Some of them make a lot of money. And these TikTokers and all that kind of stuff and on Instagram and all that, they make a lot of money. And they have some really good ideas. I mean, not everybody's like, super, super creative, but they may have a great idea that we can expand on and go, yeah, let's turn that into something great, right? So I think that would be fantastic for us to be able to kind of push that forward and push that and get that momentum going, not just around Star Wars, but as a creative team, right? And that would be fantastic. I would love that. I love the idea of like a Star Wars vision that's all fan created, right? Like, I think that's fantastic. That's a great idea. But yeah, and I mean, when it comes to like music, like for us here with this fan film, Lucasfilm has an 82-page document on what you can and cannot do with their IP, and which is very detailed and very, very structured and very everything. But just the fact that they have guidelines around that is fantastic. No other franchise has that. Like, I think maybe, I want to say Star Trek does in some capacity, but it's very, very restrictive and very, very limited. But yeah, it's super, super cool to be able to say, okay, well, Lucasfilm gave me the sandbox in where I can play. And some of the things are, you have to create your original music, which Vince Cox is doing for us. And you have to have your original art, which we have some of our artists in the chat doing that. And you have to have original voices, and you have to have, there's so many different things. If you're going to do animation, they have to keep the likenesses of the characters. You have to keep if you're going to do live action, you can't do live action with existing characters because they like to keep the likeness.
They want you to have your own studio. You can play in the universe, but you got to be your own studio. 100%.
You gotta have your own studio. Well, yeah, no, I mean, I think that there's this the kid that I don't know if you've heard about this. Probably you've heard of this, Alex. This is a 17-year-old high schooler who took his family and did a Mandalorian fan film, which was like.
I voiced for it. I voiced for it.
You did that, did you?
I voiced Boba, I voiced Mando, and I voiced one of the Sith that he fights at the end.
Nice.
Oh,
Is it the one? Is it the live action one?
Yeah. And
yeah, the really cool live action one, right?
He did it for like $3,200. I was like, this is fantastic.
Is that the one where he's on the desert planet? The Mandalorian one where he's on the desert planet? That was an incredible fan film.
Is it Kendrick Films? Is
yeah.
It that one?
Yes.
Yeah, that one is
Brad
so
Kendrick,
good, dude. That one is so
And I'm
good.
like, this kid is 17. Can't we hire him? He could direct the next Star Wars. Thank you.
There you go.
So I love that. All right, so let's talk a little bit. Let's move on into one of my favorite topics because, as Tyler well knows, Anakin Skywalker is my favorite character of all time across every single movie ever made. So we'll talk a little bit about him. So let's talk about him. There will only ever be one chosen one, but his bloodline holds an extraordinary power that has a connection to the Force that is unique. That's just fact. Can we explore what that means for Luke and Leia, and eventually his grandson Ben? What are the secrets of Anakin's bloodline? Okay, cameras will take a second. Oh, and
I like how yours is super fast.
Mine is super fast because I am not using the camera from the from Vitiate.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. What? What's going on?
He identifies as a gray square.
I don't know. Let me see. Well,
If-
there you go.
there we go.
There you go.
There we go. Okay. I'll remember that for next time. All right. Well, Tyler, I mean, what secrets does your bloodline have?
What a question! What a question!
He's like,
Qui-Gon, would you like to answer?
Where's the midichlorian count?
It's over 9,000. Anyway, wrong universe.
So yeah, no, I think one of the things that I really want to make clear is just that, you know, there's a reason why our first film is called The Chosen One. And that reason is, of course, because he's my favorite character. But, you know, there will only ever be one chosen one. That's never, ever going to change. But I think one of the things that I'm trying to question with our movie is the idea that the person that is the chosen one can be somewhat separated from the prophecy that is tied to him, right? The prophecy is really about bringing balance to the Force. And I think, you know, he can still be the chosen one that brings balance to the Force, but I don't think he's done yet. And that's kind of like my thing, where I think that, you know, he can, now that he's a Force ghost, he can be somebody that guides his family, specifically his bloodline, his own bloodline, to continue that prophecy. As Qui-Gon said in our trailer, which I'll play in a little bit, the prophecy continues. And I think that's the premise that I think I'm trying to get at. And certainly for that, you know, I chose to bring back the last Skywalker because it was a travesty that he died. Absolute travesty.
Agreed. Yeah, and that's something that I really like the way you think about it. There's a couple different ways you can think about it. I made it kind of reminds me of like Legend of Zelda, that there's links all the time, and it's always Link, but it's not always the same Link. So you can go that direction, or you know, you basically have Anakin Skywalker from the beginning is born of the Force and then stays with all of these chosen heroes throughout time until it's time for Star Wars to end and you have the final battle, right? So there's a couple ways you can go about it, but I've always liked the idea that the prophecy remains. The chosen one may be a different person throughout all these different timelines, but I mean, if you really do fulfill it and you end it at 6, Star Wars is basically done. But I mean, the Force, regardless, will always remain. So there will be a battle between dark and light as long as the universe persists. So we've got to be able to keep going somehow.
Yeah, I totally I share in that thought. What about you, Tyler?
He yeeted the Force back into balance on the second Death Star, right over the edge.
Agreed.
I love that. What about you, Alex? What are your thoughts around the chosen one and its prophecy?
I think it's always been about the bloodline, right? I've always been a big fan of the Skywalker legacy, right? And I feel like Anakin being the central point, it's only natural for it to pass on to Ben, right? So I think the idea of him dying, it's just kind of leaves kind of a bitter taste.
Anticlimactic, right?
Yeah, it leaves a bitter taste, and it's kind of like, okay, so in a way, it doesn't feel like Star Wars. Also, like weirdly, even if it may look like it still doesn't, because it doesn't have like that history that you're bringing with it. It's always about the history that it follows. So at least for me, that's always what it felt like.
Yeah, and it's what we was talking about before when I haven't watched much of Rebels, but I've seen the scene when Maul refers to Luke Skywalker as
the chosen one, right?
In his eyes, he was, you know, is he the chosen one? He asked Obi-Wan, and so passed on that way through him as well. So
I agree with that. I actually, that is one of the key elements that I took into consideration when I was writing the story, was that scene in Rebels, because I'm like, oh, so you can call him the chosen one, you know, him meaning Luke, right? You can call him the chosen one. So if Luke and Leia had kids, would they be also chosen ones? Because I mean, George Lucas, and this is another part, right?
Well, they're Skywalkers, so
right. But the other part was that George Lucas, and if you've ever read any of the Paul Duncan books, George Lucas absolutely toyed with the idea of making Leia the chosen one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
So yes,
Yep.
yes, he did.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because you know, and you know, out of all of the Skywalkers, you know, they have all had a moment of doubt. Anakin, of course, fell. You know, he fell to that doubt. Luke had a moment of doubt several times, one that, we don't like it too much, but he did have a moment of weakness before. I know. But he did have a moment of weakness, right, in Return of the Jedi, when he kind of went after his dad and had that little bit, but he came back to it. But out of all of them, the one person that has never had that is Leia. Leia has never faltered. She has never wavered. She has always been a light sider, and she's never, and she put all of her energy into that, right? Like with the resistance and within the Senate and all that good stuff as well. So I think that's a piece that I gravitated to. Zach, what are your thoughts as like a writer?
I think the whole chosen one bloodline concept is very interesting, because how long, like there's a lot of questions you could ask, like how long does this continue? Why is this happening? Is it because Plagueis created Anakin, or indirectly created Anakin, and then the chosen one always has to rebalance the Force? And what would happen if there were no chosen ones left? It's so layered and complex, and I'm excited to kind of dive into that in this project.
Yes. Right. And I love the idea also that, if you think about Ben, right, and you think about destiny, and we talked a little bit about this, Zach, right, where we think about what destiny is. Was he destined to be a Darksider first, right? Just like Anakin. Was Anakin destined to fall to the dark and become Darth Vader? Is that something that was predetermined for him? And if that's the case, then that's possible that it was predetermined for Ben Solo to fall to the dark, right? And so, you can think about that. There's a lot of complexities in that, right? And then if you think about, obviously in our movie, there's two that become one, and there is yes, I know, Rey. But there is that, and there is that dyad in the Force. So if the dyad in the Force is something that was predetermined also, right? Just think about, how can that affect like future generations? And when they say, a dyad hasn't been seen for generations, it is very evident to me, or anybody that reads, the story of Darth Revan and Bastila Shan, that they were a dyad in the Force. We just never called them that, right? They just never had the title of a dyad, but they functioned as one. Every power that Bastila and Revan had was, quote unquote, stolen by JJ and put on Ben and Rey. Force heal, all of that, right? So I think it comes from that. So I think can
we kick Star Wars Dog from the chat? We're just gonna kick him out, just completely out.
Revan's ending is a bit boring. That is terrible. That is a terrible take.
He came from my community, and I don't like that take. Get out of here.
L take. That is an L take. Yes, for sure. What?
But we don't bully here, so your opinion's okay.
Yeah. See, I agree with 821. Revan might have been the chosen one in the Old Republic.
Yeah, I like that idea.
That's actually really
Oh, that's actually really
cool. That's cool.
That's a really good idea, right? So I kind of love that. There's Gatekeeper Damien. Hi.
And that battle continues, when you think about it. So that goes throughout eternity. Revan was in stasis basically for what, 300 years, 500 years. Yeah, just constantly fighting against it. So
yeah, for sure. So all right. So I think we're gonna move. We're gonna move on to a very difficult topic, guys.
Are you sure we don't want to?
The sequel trilogy left a huge chasm in the fandom that many think to be irreparable. Is there truly no coming back from that to forge ahead together? What is needed to begin to force heal our community to move ahead with our differences and not despite them? All right, and we're back. So what do you guys think? We can't not talk about it. There's a certain division in this fandom. A rather wide chasm in this fandom, right? In this fandom.
Begun the fan war has.
Yes, the fan war. Yes. I would agree with that. What are your guys' take on it? Because you all come from like different parts of this fandom, so I'd like to hear from you guys.
I want to hear X-Wing open his mouth.
So, look, the big thing, I think, and I'm not speaking for everyone, I'm just going to try to make a general statement here, and I think it may cover most of the bases. I feel like a lot of the original trilogy fans felt very disrespected in a certain way, which obviously they're entitled to that opinion. I certainly feel that way about certain aspects of the sequel trilogy, about a lot of the aspects of the sequel trilogy. And then I feel like a lot of new fans who they were trying to bring in are mad at the old fans because they're like, why aren't you happy with this amazing story that we got? And so they're never going to see common ground because of what Disney did. So that's just kind of that's where I'm at, is original trilogy fans and prequel fans feel very disrespected. New fans don't understand why these neckbeard basement crybabies are so upset, and it just keeps going like this. And so the question has always been, how do we move forward? And the answer is by moving forward. There's not going to be a beautiful mesh where we all come together and sing Kumbaya over the sequels. It's not going to happen. So the only thing we can do is just keep on trucking. Let's get past it. They can hold on to the sequels and enjoy them and love them, and original trilogy fans can find some way to move forward and try to heal the hurt that they're feeling, hopefully by a revitalized love and appreciation for the 40 some odd years of storytelling that came before Disney that was essentially kind of disregarded.
Yeah, I would agree with that. What is your take, Zach?
I mean, it's been a bit exhausting these last few years.
Makes us not want to stream.
I wouldn't go that far.
Just kidding.
I'm not kidding.
No, I'm not kidding. I think to some degree, Star Wars has always been a bit contentious in the fandom. Like back when the prequels came out, the original fans didn't like it, and then people like us, well, not all of us, but people around my age who grew up with the prequels loved it. Like it was our Star Wars. Like Anakin Skywalker is kind of like our Luke Skywalker. And I think it's to a degree the same with the sequels. What really, I think, what you could also attribute it to is I think that the sequels didn't really have a cohesive vision. And I think that was glaringly obvious, particularly with The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. The about face that the Rise of Skywalker did, I think, did a lot of damage to that trilogy, regardless of what happened in The Last Jedi. So I think it was definitely what X-Wing said, but also I think lack of overall vision that they could follow to completion.
Yeah.
Well put.
Very well put. What do you think, Vince?
Yeah, I think, well, both of these guys have said everything like exactly what I think. But I mean, everyone has their own trilogy to fall back on if it's there for them. If they like the originals, you watch the originals. If you don't want to carry on, you stay in your lane. But,
I think that's one of the things, right, Vince? Like people don't understand. It's like we can't just erase the sequels. People, they march with their pitchforks down to Disney and go erasure, right? And they want all of that taken away, but we can't just erase the sequels because we do have millions of fans, right? I mean, that's their Star Wars, right? Like what the prequels were to you guys, or like the originals were to me, that's their Star Wars. And I think there's a lack of respect on folks who are calling for, just put them into another universe or just erase them all together. I think there's also a lack of respect on that side. For the fact that these fans, this is, I think back to 9-year-old me going to see Return of the Jedi in a theater and being just absolutely enamored and falling in love with that movie and the two that came before. And I just think about like the 9-year-olds that fell in love with Rey or fell in love with Rose. Or
those aren't the ones arguing with me on the internet, though.
That's true.
Here's what I would say.
That is
the
true.
the only counter argument I have to that is there's another side of disrespect that
yes, absolutely.
I've certainly felt as well, that it's like, if you don't like it, then just stop watching.
Right.
And it's like, how are you going to tell me to stop watching Star Wars? I've been here forever, man. You just walked in the door. Don't tell me to stop watching Star Wars.
Right.
So yeah,
sure.
there's a massive lack of respect on both sides.
Both sides.
Between both.
And I think
our side is right, but you know, I mean, it's.
I mean, that's the problem with surrounding yourself with an echo chamber of everyone that agrees, right? I always say that with Zach, like whenever we do it with Zach and Kat, and we all agree with each other, and there's no back and forth. And I'm always like, man, I feel like I need someone to like diversify my opinion, right? Because it's like we're just repeating, we're just agreeing with everyone, and we're repeating the same thing we're saying. It's like I don't know. Like, what's the other side again? I forgot what it was.
I forgot what it is. Yeah, no, and I mean that's why X-Wing's here.
Yep, I know. I'm the bottom of the barrel. I understand.
No, you're not.
I was saying we all agree with each other here. That was what I was saying.
Okay,
yeah. No, I was saying,
Star Wars is so popular. It's always going to happen. You're always going to have conflicts. It doesn't matter what you do. There's going to be conflicts within the fandom.
It is the largest franchise in the world by a lot. I mean, Marvel wishes, okay? By like a lot. And so I think just based on that, I mean, there's going to be conflict, right? But I think one of the things that's really beautiful about us is like, you know, and I'll put this to X-Wing too, because I had this thought earlier. I was like, you know, when we came together and we were doing our rehearsals for the movie and we were doing the recording, so I'll speak to Tyler and X-Wing here. You know, we had such joy doing those. There was like a sense of being like excited to be involved in Star Wars and to be part of Star Wars in some way, right? Like we were all so happy, yet every single cast member was from like totally different spectrums of this franchise. Like there was people who were like absolute love Rey, like Rey is their favorite character. There's people who are like, nope, bury her. I just, you know, so there was like all these differences in these groups and in these teams we were doing, but it didn't matter because we came out of it with such a sense of joy, right?
Yeah.
It was
do you remember that when we were going over the dialogue, there was one particular bit of dialogue that you and I were milling over, and it was Rey and Finn talking.
Yes.
And as soon as the dialogue was over, I turned to you and I'm like, so this is writing Star Wars. Like this is what it's supposed to sound like. And it was kind of it was a little bit of a come to Jesus moment for me because I wasn't mad about who was talking. I just enjoyed the dialogue. I'm like, okay, this is good writing. Like I'm enjoying this. I don't care that it was Rey and Finn. And that's the big hump I had to get over. The pill I had to swallow was like, this is Rey and Finn, but this is actually good.
Right.
Yeah, this is actually good.
Yes.
I will say our Finn and Rey voice actors are really good though.
Oh my
God.
It
does feel like
Madeline
Norton,
is a
guys.
gem.
I mean, Madeline Norton is just she floors.
She's good at what she does.
I feel completely different about Rey now, and I feel like it probably is because I've seen the script. I know where the story goes, and it has blurred the lines. Like,
and you
get I really was not a fan of Rey. I was not a fan of Rey at all, and the script is definitely it's changed my opinion. 100%.
I know. I remember X-Wing telling me he's like, I hate you, and I was like, why? He was like,
I like Rey.
Yes. And he was like, I think Maddie made me like Rey.
Yep. That is the tallest order in all of Star Wars. So you tell Maddie exactly what happened because that's
Maria has put together the Avengers of voice actors for this project.
Oh, for sure.
I agree. And some of them are brand new. I mean, X-Wing's never done a voiceover, like not
the
this
Hawkeye
guy.
of the Avengers.
I thought you said hot guy.
Well, that's
I mean, you know, whatever.
That as well.
That too. Absolutely.
That is ridiculous, though. I genuinely thought X-Wing was a pro.
I know. Me too.
Blew my mind. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, blew my mind. I mean, in the audition, like, I just want to tell you guys that X-Wing auditioned opposite a very talented
oh my god, that guy was so scary
theater actor and won the role over him because he did so good.
Wow.
Yeah.
This was like Christopher Lee's brother.
It's
it
like
was it was incredible. It was incredible. I'm not like tooting my own horn. I'm saying that guy was incredible.
But that just says
I blame nepotism.
That's what it was. She likes mustaches. He didn't have one. I got the role.
You know, and
He was actually better for it, but whatever.
Thanks, Alex. Jeez.
I wouldn't disagree.
I'm just kidding.
man.
I didn't even hear him. I'm just kidding.
He's really
And so I have to say, you know, we do have some young talent. We have some very like amazing talent. People who have been on Broadway, like our X-Wing pilot, our favorite X-Wing pilot, you know, has had a run on Broadway. You know, and he's playing Wedge Antilles, and he's you know, and his lovely wife Nora Wexley, also a stage actress, bona fide stage actress. So I love that. And then, you know, Poe Dameron being played by, right? Am I right about that one, guys? Like
So good.
Poe Dameron
Oh, yeah.
and Zori Bliss, their chemistry together is outstanding.
Nobody
love it.
misses in this cast. It's
No.
incredible. When you go
That's
back and you
right.
listen to some of these clips, it's like, dang, dude. Like
There's
I don't
no-
know how you
no
pulled
weakling.
these people, but geez,
I know.
they're so good.
And just to talk about it, because we've been talking about you know, the expanded universe, you know, we have Darth Talon
Yeah.
coming in.
Yeah,
and,
so excited.
so excited, and with her comes Darth Malati, and you know,
De-Disneyfied.
yeah, and not Disneyfied by far.
All you talent fans in the chat, calm down. Sit back down.
Sit down.
There's
And
a very adult Darth Talon in this.
Very adult Darth Talon. You know, and being able to pull from the EU, like, bro, how you gonna tell me that there was no source material? That was a travesty to me. I can't get over. I just can't. I literally, my jaw dropped. I was like, you know, I could not get that through my head. It was just a horrible thing to say. And what
to
an
your
insult.
credit, if there was any villain that was going to make sense to return, if there was any villain that was capable of hiding in the timeline and not being seen by anybody and making a return, it was always going to be Vitiate. Always.
I mean, he invented essence transfer.
Yeah.
He literally invented essence transfer. Like,
But as we all know,
you know?
somehow Palpatine returned.
Right? Like, why Palpatine and why, like, you know, diminish? I mean, I want to say he diminishes, his return diminishes Anakin's sacrifice. Absolutely to me. Okay?
Exactly.
They had nowhere left. They had nowhere else to go.
There's nowhere else to go, right? And
They had to do something.
yeah, well, that's all at Ryan Johnson's feet, you know. I mean, he basically created his movie as the end cap of this thing, and it was a middle movie. Like, what?
Yeah.
It was a finale.
How does that make sense? You know, you kill off, and I happen to think, you know, I mean, I don't know if people agree with me with The Force Awakens, but I thought Snoke was mysterious enough, kind of like, you were like, who is this guy?
Dude,
I was
the Snoke theories with Plagueis and everything that was going, I was so hyped.
1,000%, right?
I wanted to know who
Yes.
it was so friggin' bad.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you were just like, okay, so I'm intrigued with this guy, and then Ryan just fucking
Your
kills him.
Snoke
I'm like,
theory
what-
sucks or whatever. he
Language.
said.
Yeah.
you know. I mean, I was so upset. I was like, are you serious right now? Like, we didn't even get to know this guy. You know, and I mean, there was so much that was set up in Force Awakens. This is why I think Force Awakens, for me, I still give it an 8.5 out of 10. I know that's going to shock some people.
Force Awakens.
But to be honest with you, I think The Force Awakens set up some really good things. I mean, if you think about, and I know people are going to say, oh, well, you know, JJ put Luke on an island. But if you think about how
That could have been so cool.
It was still
It
cool.
could have been cool. Because
was so cool.
Because the way he left him, when we see Rey go up the mountain, right, at Act 2, and you see Luke Skywalker in full Jedi robes, bro, like completely dressed up. You knew he knew she was coming, and to me, JJ set up for him to join the fight. That's what it absolutely looked like to me.
100%.
I love the idea that you could have played off, and I won't go too deep into this, but I love the idea that you could play off that Luke is essentially the most OP Jedi in the galaxy. Like, this dude is such a force for good that evil always rises to meet the good. And so as long as he's prominent in the galaxy, something else will come to tear it all down. And so he's like, all right, I'm out. I'm just going to go to an island. I'm going to hang out. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to, because as soon as I come back into the light, something is going to come. Something will come.
And we can always
And then
say,
Ray goes, something's already here. And he's like, damn, all right, I got to get back in.
I got to get it back in, right? So he's
like, I'm retired.
He's dressed in full Jedi robes, bro. And then right after, what does he do in the opening of 8? He tosses the lightsaber. And then Rian Johnson makes a particular point to record him putting away his Jedi robes. What?
Yeah.
What?
My jaw hit the floor when I saw him just go, nah.
Yeah, that was not a happy moment for me.
That was not.
We just looked at you like, did that just happen?
Yeah.
Like we were we were expecting him to just go.
I think that might be the single most damaging moment in all of Star Wars. It was the first time I felt like visceral dislike, and it was so confusing for me. I was like,
and
what
it was
was
the
that
opening
feeling?
scene of 8, right?
Dude, premiere night, I remember just like it happened, and like there was like 2 giggles in the very top, and it was just silent. They're just like, what just happened? Like, yeah, it was like everyone was in shock. And then they were just in shock for the rest of the 2 hours and 30 minutes.
We were still thinking about the lightsaber throw. Like, Snoke's dead, lying on the floor, ships are blown up. Everybody's like, did he actually really throw that lightsaber?
Yes! I swear to God, that was my thought exactly, right? And then,
dead, but he threw the lightsaber. What the fuck? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, what is this?
And then how do you have JJ who writes Finn, bro, a stormtrooper that defects. Like, that is an amazing story.
Yeah, that's the
Classically
biggest crime.
Force sensitive.
Yeah.
Love Force Awakens Finn.
Yeah.
And you market that as like, on all the posters and all this, except for China.
Not in China.
Not in
China. Not happening. Not today. Not this time.
I love
The Force
Tyler
says
does that.
sit down.
That is amazing. Right? And then you just like send him off in a wild choose. 23 minutes was spent on Canto Bight, bro. 23 minutes that I will never get back. Like, I'm just going to say that, right? 23 minutes. I get so heated. I really do get heated about The Last Jedi.
Oh, Maria, but I guess it was worth it.
No. Because it absolutely did nothing. There was nothing. Like, Leia was just like, hey, I have a secret location on Crate.
And that's why it's tough for me to appreciate The Force Awakens now as well, because of those two
it
films. I
tainted
really
it.
struggle. Yeah, I struggle to think back to how I was feeling after that first film, because I was definitely excited to see where
I
it
was
went.
so hype after Force Awakens.
I
Dude.
really was
so
too. I mean,
excited.
a lot of people were like, "Oh, it's just a rehash of A New Hope," but you know what? I didn't mind it, and I thought
That's
it was
where
a good
my
rehash.
mind was. That's where my mind was. It was like, yes, it was a rehash. It was a new hope for a new generation, but they set up some cool stuff.
Some cool shit.
They did it.
I'm like,
They
make-
couldn't have done it better, in my opinion.
Right. I did feel like Ray was like, "Girl, you never been on a starship, and you could pilot the Falcon like Han Solo. Come on now."
Yeah, well, there's some of that, but that's Disney.
Yeah,
I think that was to be expected at that point.
We try to ignore that.
We try to ignore that. But you know what? I mean, there were problems. But I thought in 2015, when we saw The Force Awakens, we were like, yes, Star Wars is back, baby. And then we get Rogue One, and we're like,
I was in such a good place, man.
Dude, I didn't even expect to like
2016.
it. I didn't even expect to like it. I was like, I'm just gonna go to the Star Wars, and I'm like, dude, that was what the fuck. Like, I'm gonna go back over and over
Can we
again.
please go back? Right? Yes. I mean,
Rogue One was Cloud 9.
yes. Yes.
That was the first time I went back to the cinema to watch it again.
Yes.
Just for that last
Yes.
30 minutes, I had to see it again.
I saw Rogue One, I think, 5 times in theater. It was so good.
I was traumatized from that hallway scene. Like anyone else?
Oh, it's so
yes,
good.
in a good way.
I couldn't close my mouth. I was just.
What am I watching? This is great. Yeah. No, I really
It was
love
good.
that. Yeah.
I thought it was really good, and I thought, the most important thing when you're telling those stories is to pay homage to what came before, and they did such a good job of basically like shoehorning it into a way where it makes sense that when you fire up A New Hope, well, that's the best thing is you can watch Rogue One, and then immediately it's like time to watch A New Hope.
Yeah.
Like right after that, you pop it in and you're like continuing the story. It's incredible.
Yep, absolutely. And I
That
just,
one still gets hate. I don't get
and
that.
8 and 9 just tainted 7 for everybody. So like people who even liked 7 and they were like, yes, we love 7. They're like,
Well, it's because
eight and
JJ
nine,
retconned everything that he did.
yeah, Vince was just saying, yep. Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Big time. Yeah.
But I
because
think,
you can't even enjoy it anymore because you know what comes after.
right. And I think that's the big deal. I think that's the thing, right? So I feel like if Disney really wants to try to like unify this fandom and like really pull us all together, we have to move forward in this time. Like none of us are ever going to agree about the sequels, okay? And no, there's people who still hate the prequels, okay? Nobody's going to ever yeah, right? And nobody's ever going to agree
clones alone.
Okay? About the prequels, right? And there's just, I mean, generally, I would say most people love the original trilogy. I've never met a fan that goes, "Oh, I love the prequels, but that original trilogy was trash."
It's because there aren't fans who don't like the original trilogy.
Exactly,
you're not
right?
a fan of Star Wars
You're
if you
not
don't
a
like
fan.
it.
I feel like even if you're not, you have to say you are. That's just, you know.
I think
it's trash.
I think there are a lot of new fans who don't like them because they're too boring or slow or whatever. Or the effects look too bad.
Yeah,
which
well,
is
they're not-
sacrilege.
they're not
It's 1977.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it
It's
was
not
funny.
aged well,
That was
whatever.
revolutionary in that day. Like George
It was.
Lucas just revolutionized everything. Every time he touched a Star Wars film, he revolutionized something. And in that day, there was nothing like it. Just like the Phantom Menace, just like at the Revenge of the Sith, right? And then, unfortunately, with I will say this with the sequels, there was nothing new, right? Like, it was kind of just more of the same, sci-fi blockbuster
It was
stuff.
flashier.
Yeah,
That's it.
it was. Well, the sabers look great, but it didn't revolutionize the
Yeah,
industry.
at least they got
right?
the sabers right in the sequels. They have done. I don't know what has
Except
happened
for
with Disney
Kylo
Plus and the
Ren's,
sabers.
right?
But
Yeah.
yeah, no, the crossguard saber will
Yeah.
still forever be sacrilege to me.
I love the crossguard. I do.
Can't do it.
It goes back to old times. So for me, it's it's part of the old Republic. So I'm very cool with it. But for some people, they just associate that crossguard with the sequels. I think that's
Or
what
the
it
High
is.
Republic. I mean, I think they made it worse for me personally with
yeah.
the High Republic.
I just think practically it doesn't make a lot of sense because if you just drag your blade straight down,
You're gonna cut right
it's
through
gonna
that
break.
emitter.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Yep.
gonna cut through easily.
Logically,
you can't really,
it makes no sense.
Yeah, you can't really use the crossguard.
Star
we did
Wars
see it
never
for a
really had a
split
lot of
second in
logic.
Rebels.
They're like a bunch of crusaders. They're the Knights Templar. That's the only historical reference I could have grabbed. I was like, okay, cool, whatever.
Was it not made with material that stops you from cutting through? I thought that was.
I
the point.
suppose if his saber was made out of Beskar, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah. So, and I think that the thing about it is that all these differences and things like that, like I feel like people are so afraid to talk about, like
Not
we've
me.
gotten to. Well, no, not you. But like it's become almost taboo to talk about what you really feel about something, right? Because I feel like the discussion that we just had, that's very normal and very cool, and some people like some things and some people don't like things. But why is it that we can't get our fans to talk in this way, respectfully and like
People get way too offended.
I will say, aside from the fact of like actually feeling like something, I feel like there's a lot of, I don't know, charlatans out there masquerading with outrage marketing just for headlines, just for, getting people to talk about something, getting views,
Both
right?
sides.
There is both sides that happens, right?
Yeah.
It's just the nature of things. It's just the nature of YouTube. It's the nature of the algorithm. People are more interested in people being mad than they are than people being happy. It's just what happens. Like, things go viral, discussions happen, people get mad at each other, drama starts, people follow drama. It's just the nature of things, right? So
we're bored, Alex. Like if we weren't bored, this wouldn't be happening. So put out good content so we're not bored.
Good content so we're not bored. Yeah, no,
Fair.
I totally agree with that, but I also feel like it's just the age, right? Like imagine if we had social media during the prequels.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, God.
Oh, I would have been a warrior.
Yeah.
Right?
Vince would have been cursing in the comment sections all
You
day.
would have been
100%.
what the sequel warriors are today. That would have been X-Wing
I'm still a prequel defender to this day.
to this day. Matt Rissman isn't here, but
I have that conversation every week.
every week. No joke. But I think that there's something to say about this group and this team, which we have over 40 people. We're about to add more because I'm expanding Hot Shots and that team, right? So there's something to say about all of us who have very different opinions on things coming together, being able to talk like this, which is great, right? But also being able to create something together. It's very different to me, and I'm going to say this, but I mean no disrespect to anybody, but it's very different to react to someone else's creations than it is to actually create your own. You know, I think it's like, that's the piece, like every single one of us is really putting our money where our mouths is and doing this project, because we are putting our time, we're putting our dedication, we're putting our study, we're putting our research, we're putting all of these things into it. And I feel like there's something to be said about doing that, right?
It's been extremely damaging for my brand. Extremely damaging. I don't know if I'm going to recover financially.
There's no way we're going to come back from this at this point. We're not coming back like Palpatine somehow came back, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my god, I feel like we should do something funny. We should do something funny.
We should definitely do something
do like,
We need a skit. We need a skit.
We're building a Death Star. It's we're going to make the rebels pay for it.
Yes. And Thomas, absolutely. I mean, Poe Dameron.
Oh my god.
Poe Dameron has a story. I don't know if you have read this, Thomas, but Poe Dameron has a story called Poe Dameron Freefall, which is a novel. And it's amazing. And it details the story of his parents and him losing his mother, and then actually, which we get to do that here, is his love affair. He had an entire love affair with Zori Bliss, and their adventures together as teenage lovers and young adult lovers, because they were together for a while. And so that whole novel was out there, and I'm like, why couldn't you have given me 23 minutes of that instead of Canto Bight chase scene? Like, like what the heck?
Or like the kind of I mean, this would have been a little bit earlier, I suppose, but the one book that got really close for me was Bloodlines.
I love that book.
Yeah, that got really close for me for being like an amazing story, and something I think they should have absolutely worked into the sequels. Something they underutilized was everybody finding out that, whoa, hold on. I'm sorry, my mic just doubled up. How did that happen? Everybody finding out that Leia was Darth Vader's daughter.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why Ben started to like distrust his family. That caused him to like be like, you didn't tell me this. Like, they kept that secret from him.
Yeah.
And he was like, you didn't tell me this. All this time I've been struggling. This would have helped me. Like, why would you keep that from me? And that was a big point of his turning, of why, he just started to distrust it, his family. That was a big turning point for him.
See, I'm trying, Maria, okay?
I know.
I'm at least ingesting the content and then talking bad about it, instead of just saying it's bad without ever reading it.
I love that. King's Advisor has a question for us. For all of us. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Yes. What did it mean to you to be able to be part of Star Wars like this? I'll start with Zach, because you know what? He's new. So he probably has a very new, fresh perspective on it.
Well, I mean, it's always been a dream of mine to work in Star Wars, to work on Star Wars, rather. It's hard to put into words, because it's something that you never really think is attainable. Like, you're watching it on the big screen, and then being able to actually do it, to play around in this giant, massive, beautiful sandbox that you've only ever observed. It's kind of surreal, honestly. I don't know if anybody else feels that way. Like, it's wild. Like, it almost feels like it's literally like you're in a dream or something. Like, that's how I would describe it. It's probably the highest honor there ever is, as in terms of like creating anything for me.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And I think I want to ask Vince, because you know what, Vince, I think you have a really unique take on this. Just because, we've had several conversations about what this means to you personally, as your career path and choice has evolved.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, I have the easy task of following John Williams. So.
Yeah, good luck.
No pressure.
No pressure.
But yeah, no.
Who's that?
Alex, get out of here.
You better get it right or it's over for you. It's over.
But yeah, me and you have talked about this, Maria, and like I've been doing trailer music for so long, and it's just such a different style of music, and just getting a chance to write music like this. I never thought I would ever get a chance to write music like this because it's just a completely different skill. It's back to basics. It's old school, original, orchestral music, and it's like challenging as trailer music is. It's nothing like this, and yeah, it's made me want to continue pursuing composing. I've been doing a lot of my own music for a while now, a couple of years, writing my own tracks, like mainly directed at trailer music, but a few other things as well. But it's made me want to definitely pursue the composing thing.
Filmmaking, yeah.
Yeah, I've just had such a great time. It's been a year now, and it's been unreal. It's been the highlight of my weeks, just having how many hours to do this.
You put some bangers out, buddy.
You do. You are. I've always said that Star Wars, right? Star Wars is 50% visual and 50% auditory.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Oh, for sure, yeah. There's a video one. Have you not seen the video on YouTube where it's the scene from E.T. and it's the scene where he's leaving and he gets in his. Look it up after this. It's amazing. They take out John Williams' music from that scene, and it's insane. They've left in the Foley as well, so it's really awkward.
Like with the throne room too.
Oh my god! Yeah.
Yes.
They did New Hope.
Wasn't there a scene where actually the X-Wings were I think there was a formation of the X-Wings taking off, and John is talking, and George says, it doesn't matter. They're not going to be watching anyways. They're just going to be
listening to music.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, X-Wing? Because you are kind of new to this field of work.
Yeah, I mean, this is even if this whole thing happened and 4 people watched it, it doesn't matter, because you get to jump in, you get to play, you get to, completely revert back to your childhood. And just, I've always been the Jedi guy. I like the Jedi. I like the light side. That's always been my team. And you're like, by the way, you're going to be the biggest D-head in the galaxy right now. Can you work that out? And it feels natural for some reason. I love it.
So well. It's so
I love it. You just get to dig. You get to tap into this insanely maniacal, sadistic, just absolute jerkbag of a person.
Yeah. And I mean, how crazy was it to be able to sit and write and work together and have our quote unquote workshop over our upcoming Legacy trailer?
And that has honestly been the coolest part, is that I'm not just reading something off of a piece of paper. It's that we got to spend the time together, and would he say, yeah, well, this doesn't really make sense. Oh yeah, well, it does here, and we should move this. I have an idea. Let's workshop something really important from the dark side into this portion of the script. And then being able to sit in and see the caliber of artists that you have working on this project.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know if you remember, I think I was in that Wizards meeting. And I'm watching him just.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
AJ. Our character artist. Our character artist. He is.
I was in awe. He created an hour's worth of content in 5 minutes. It was how do you?
The guy's nuts, dude. The guy's
awesome. It was insane. It was insane.
Really
so
awesome.
the biggest thing for me has been being able to see the caliber of people that you have on this project. It feels like Hollywood. Like, these people are incredibly talented. What they're able to do, everything that they're bringing to the project, I just feel blessed that I get to be a small part of it. Yeah. It's insane.
Avengers
and
assemble.
What about for you, Tyler?
To say it's like a dream would be an understatement of the millennia. So, because my whole childhood, as soon as I got the figures, Dad gave me his figures from his childhood, and I'm getting the new ones that are coming out, the clone troopers, the battle droids. And as I'm playing with them, I'm not just talking like me. I'm doing the voices the whole time. I'm doing Anakin, Obi-Wan, clone troopers, battle droids, Grievous, Dooku, Darth Vader. I'm doing all of them. And as I got older, I just got better and better. And it wasn't until my senior year of high school where I put 2 and 2 together. I'm like, I could do something with this. And I dropped that first video, and now several years later, I get a random email from someone named Maria And I'm like, oh, okay, so another fan film. All right, this will be cool. And then she goes into more detail as to what this colossal project is all about. And like the more I read and the more I learned, the further my jaw was going down to the floor. And just the fact that I'm here still just
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone else? Alex, do you want to jump in on that?
Yeah, the save the worst for last. Really, honestly, Maria, for everyone who doesn't know, everyone here already knows this, but everyone in chat, if you ever want to get into the industry, you want to find someone like Maria, because I've had so many different bosses on different films. I've worked on so many different projects for a variety of different things in the industry, commercial, films, whatever. No one's like her in regards to how much she regards her team. So kudos to you, Maria. Thank you. I appreciate you so much. Like you have no idea. And then aside from just the fact that it's Star Wars, honestly, the entire notion that everyone in here I've known for years, aside from you, of course, Maria, but I'm sure we'll have a long friendship. I've worked with all of you at some point, right? And continue to work with all of you. And it's just like, it's not only working with strangers, but it's working with Star Wars fans and friends, and then building more friendships with the cast and everything. It's a really fun environment, and it really is a dream environment for anyone trying to get into the industry. Like Maria really created something that is so unique and so different from anything out there, really. So for everyone who isn't in the industry and kind of jumping in here, it's something special.
So I'm spoiled rotten. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it looks like you got me for life, Maria.
Yeah, that's it. And that's the goal, right? That's the goal. And Tom Jr., one of our wonderful moderators, Tom Jr. Jackson, he has a question for me. He's like, what is it like to bring someone in to do original music for this film you have thought about making from beginning to end? How long is the process? Beginning to end, how long with the whole process of the film is gonna take, I'm assuming. So yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm gonna say Alex. I'm gonna say kudos to Alex, because Alex was the one who brought me Vince Cox, and I do not take that for granted, because Vince is an absolute genius. Like, mark my words, he's gonna look back and go, oh yeah, that little fan project
you remember back in 2023?
I remember.
Yeah.
Remember when I messaged you, Vince, from that one video?
As he's sitting and he's got 30 Grammys behind him, Yeah, that's
you remember from earlier?
Yeah, that's gonna be Vince Cox. I'm not even gonna lie about that. He is brilliant. And I think one of the things that was really important for me, and X can speak to this, is I really wanted the cast to have a say in the music. And so what
Who does that?
Who does that? No one. Right? And
no one does that, X-Wing. No one.
Yeah.
No one. Yeah. Not in filmmaking, not in video gaming, none of it. And so, for me, it's Vince and I go, okay, I have this idea for the soundtrack. Now, filmmaking music is very different. You have an original soundtrack, and then you have your film score. And the two, long time ago, they used to release them as separate CDs. You'd have the OST, and then you'd have the original film score, and they were different. And so it's creating this crazy duality. And so I go to Vince and I say, okay, so I have this idea for Emperor Vitiate, and I really want, I have this theme, Dominion overall, right? Because, Vitiate does see himself as a god, and why shouldn't he? I mean, think about the guy. Like, honestly, Palpatine needed an entire fleet of planet killers, and Vitiate is a planet killer, just himself. Okay,
not overpowered at all.
Not overpowered. You think Star Killer's overpowered? Mm-mm.
You think Rey's overpowered?
Right? And so I say, okay,
that's cute.
So
let me tell you a little something.
Yeah. So I have this grandiose idea, Vince. He is powerful, and he knows his shit don't stink, and he thinks of himself as a god, but he has this one weakness, right? This one very, very sexy little weakness, and her name was Senya Terrell. And that's the only glimmer that you could ever see of Vitiate as a human. And so he takes that and he says, okay, and I say, listen, come up with some sample music, which is usually like a piano or just a single instrument kind of samples.
He composed like 4 different pieces.
Yes. He did. And so I said, he's like, okay, come up with some samples. And then we take the samples, the ones, you know, we go back and forth on them. And then we take the samples and we go to the cast. And with X-Wing, we went to him and we said, listen to these four samples that we have for Vitiate. He is the one embodying Vitiate through his voice. So, and then from there, you know, luckily X-Wing, for those of you that don't know, X-Wing is a musician himself. So that was very helpful. And so he takes the 4 samples and he's like, this one right here.
Yeah, I think he was the first person I collaborated with, wasn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, that thing just hit right off the bat. There, you can always tell a skilled creator when somebody creates a piece of music, and when it hits you, it's like you already know it, and it brings out an emotion that you've already had in you for a long time. And the second I heard that, I'm like, yeah, that's the one. Yeah. That's the one.
I felt the same way though. There was something about it. It just felt right.
Yeah, it works.
And then once the cast is really like honed in on the ones that they want, sometimes they have one that they want, but like Sharon, she had a couple. She was like, I can't really decide between this two. And so our lovely Sharon Grunwald, who plays the other half of our villain. And so she's very much tied to Ross in that sense.
She helped create that theme. She was as much a part of it as I was. Like, the creating process, she told me what to do.
Yes.
Right.
And so that's really kind of like the whole process. This takes months, guys. Like, okay. And then Vince takes that and that little sample that X-Wing heard, right? And then he, you know, a couple months later, he hears the full orchestral part to it.
I remember telling Vince, I was like, portions of this sound kind of tinny. Like, I don't know. I feel like we could work up a portion of this. And instead of being like a total jerk, he's like, you know what? I think that's a good idea. Yeah, let's do this and that, which was always awesome because as a composer, you can just be like, shut up.
Just sit down.
He was like,
no, that helps me. I want more.
It was incredible. Yeah. And so it worked into this piece that like, now I'm going to toot my own horn a little bit. I have my own theme in Star Wars. I could cry at the thought of that. Like, it is the most incredible thing. I had it because I was lucky enough. I got sent a file. I had it in my earphones for 3 days. I would wake up in the morning. I'd play it halfway through the day. I'd play it, like, just constantly listening to it. And I feel like it helped develop the character.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolute music's so important.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's in, and from that, you know, when we get into the film score, when we actually go through the scenes and we actually kind of work to build that, because you take little like instances of the original soundtrack. So it's very important for me to get Vitiate's done first, because I really wanted to kind of be able to draw from that, because we are kind of in the middle of we've started kind of building that legacy trailer that you guys will see towards the end of this year. And so that one's our first big full trailer, like 2 minute, whatever, you know, minutes trailer. And I wanted to be able to showcase that. And so we can
it's
pull
mean.
That. It's so bad. Bad in a good way. It's so bad. It's
bad in the best way.
I mean, I want to say it's borderline rated R. So.
You want to talk about face like Ryan Johnson did? This is a Maria about face from the first trailer to the second.
Yeah,
you're gonna want to see it.
Absolutely.
I still haven't seen it.
It doesn't exist yet.
It doesn't exist yet. The team's still putting it together. We have the storyboards. That's it. So
even from the storyboards, though, you can feel it.
It's coming.
You can feel it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of power in that trailer.
Oh my God! It's my great friend Garvey. Hi, Garvey. We're in video game industry together, me and Garvey.
Nice.
What up, Garvey?
Garvey used to be. He is now much bigger than that, but he used to be a VP at Twitch. So, yes.
Nice.
Noise.
Hi, Mark.
Garvey, here's my phone number. And
yeah, exactly. Right. Yes. And so I do want to move us along a little bit. I do want to talk. I want to show you guys the teaser trailer. Okay, because some of you may not have seen it, but I want you to pay close attention to the words being said but also the music. The music is so great. And, you know, I want to give a shout out to my dear friend Tracy Trathan, who did the typography for our logo, created our logo. I want to, give her some shout outs. And to our animator, Valmari Marquez, who animated the logo for us and made it look that beautiful. So pay close attention. All right, guys, here we go.
I've seen this before. The prophecy continues.
In this generation's chosen one?
Two that are one. Now that we've all seen the teaser trailer, yes, Ben is back. And with him, so is his dyad. They are a pair, two that are one. What can be done to fix those characters without erasing them? Why is The Last Skywalker so important? What is Star Wars without the Skywalkers? Oh, and the cameras need a little second to pop back in. Okay, we're back. Pop, 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 pop. That is, thanks, oh my God. Yes.
Boom.
Boom.
Oh, what happened to, we lost Vince. We lost him in there.
Man down.
He fell out of the ship. He's
they
floating
came
in space.
from behind.
There it is. There it is.
Don't make me put the helmet on. I'll do it.
Unless he's turned it off on his end. Did you turn it off for us? Oh, did we? Hold on. Oh, I know what it is. There we go.
Yay.
There we go. The wrong frame.
Back.
Calm down.
We're too close. Loosen up.
Yes, I was just commenting that in the background, Gerald. That, by the way, guys, Gerald Hill, our Lando Calrissian, thank you so very much.
Oh, Gerald, what's up, dude?
What's up?
Go on, Gerald.
Hello, what have we here?
What have we here?
That's right. Yes, that
See what I
little
mean,
smile.
dude? The guy's so good at it. He
Exactly.
nails it every time.
Yes, that little smile
Avengers.
at the end. It really does. It really does. She just gives you a little smile when she looks up at Ben, and she's like, "Yeah, guys, my man is back.
We back.
We back."
Mona Lisa.
Yeah, for sure.
I still, to this day, killing him off. It's
the
just
music.
I
The worst decision.
Bro, like, how are you gonna call your movie The Rise of Skywalker? And then
You know
have
why.
no
Because Raise the
Skywalkers in it?
Skywalker, Maria. Gosh, did you even
Yeah.
watch the movie?
Yeah, go watch the movie.
I was on the set.
Actually,
Actually, I was on the set.
Actually,
It
So I know
really
the
was.
story, but still.
It really was
Do you
almost
think that-
comical.
That-
That they,
right?
Do you think they continue that through the next films? Because obviously she's
I mean,
in-
obviously they've
they're not gonna walk
announced.
it back.
I mean,
That's what I
obviously
mean,
they've
see.
announced Rey's coming back, right? So
But do they call her Skywalker?
I-
I mean, or do they just ignore
I
that?
don't know.
I feel like they're just gonna ignore it.
I've not heard her been
Palpatine.
named Rey Skywalker. Like when they announced her at Star Wars Celebrations, it was just, and it's Master
Rey.
Jedi Master Rey,
I
right?
think
And
that's
she
the
came
right
out.
Option.
So she
Can you
didn't
imagine
say,
if they brought back that kid from
Oh my
Revenge of the
gosh.
Sith?
Room-
I've seen
Room
his
Boy?
videos, and he's like Master Skywalker. No,
Oh,
from
no,
Revenge of the
Revenge
Sith.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
he was
Yeah.
Snoke, dude. That was Snoke.
That was Snow.
Oh, it's no.
That would have been
Snow
better.
Begins, his villain character.
He got his
yeah,
head
exactly.
split
That's the origin
open.
story. The origin story.
Real quick, one point I wanted to point out regarding the whole Skywalker thing is even Palpatine acknowledged who was who in that final battle. Because he ignored Rey. He's like, that's my granddaughter. He's like, he even says it himself. He says, as I fell, so too shall.
Last Skywalker.
So ends the story of Skywalker.
That's
Exactly.
right.
And then just boom.
Yep. I gotta say, one thing that I did love, I mean, I love like 10% of Tross. That's it. But one thing that I loved was, Ben crawling back up and like, I thought that was great because you were like, you were sure he was dead, right? You were like, yeah, he's dead. And then all of a sudden you see his hand, and I'm like, oh, smack. That was pretty good.
Adam Driver gets a lot of hate, but I'm going to be honest with you. My 10% for Rise of Skywalker is when he's Ben.
Yes.
He comes back and he turns into Ben and he's got a blue
The
lightsaber. I'm like,
shrug.
it's a Skywalker! Let's go! It's a Skywalker! Let's go! Like, I was like, if there was anything I was excited about, it was that moment right there.
I mean,
it was like
that
Anakin
moment,
reborn. Like, let's go.
Right? The moment where he's running,
Yeah.
right? And he's just an amazing. I mean, they really effed it up because he's an amazing actor, and then he went on to do like Martin Scorsese movies and Jim Jarmusch movies and Ridley Scott movies, and you're like, dude, you had a gem. Like, why would you end that? Right?
What about the little homage to Han Solo?
Yeah, the Solo shrug.
The shrug.
Yeah. The shrug. That was so great. I love that.
Cool. Or when he fired the pistol.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
That was so good. That was so Han. So there's a little moment of Han. There's a few moments of Han, which Tyler so graciously lent his voice to do as well. So, yeah. I think one of the things that is kind of the elephant in the room is Ben Solo, right? And with him, I just can't imagine. And this speaks also to the Disney film, right? I could not imagine bringing back Rey and not having Ben Solo. Like, that just doesn't seem correct. And I think even the new fans, we have so many fans that are, yes, I know, I'm gonna get a lot of eye rolls, but they're Reylos. They're fan of that dyad in the Force, that soulmates in the Force. I mean, that's how it was novelized, right? That they were soulmates in the Force. And so I can't imagine, like, even 15 years on, I'm about 80% towards the fact that I think Adam Driver will be in that movie. And I think he's going to be fully alive. And it's going to be like something that they have to explain later or something. Right? Like,
yeah, they like doing that a lot.
They do.
Yeah, they love doing that. Oh, you
leave
guys
it for
didn't read
a
the comic
novel.
book?
Yeah,
You didn't read the comic book? It already
another time.
Yeah,
Somehow
right?
Ben Solo has returned.
And Rey's gonna be like practicing something or other, and all of a sudden, Ben Solo's gonna come in, and he's gonna be fully alive, and we're gonna be like,
oh,
Disney loves their throwaway lines. Oh yeah, that happened.
That happened.
Hey, you're back. How did you come back? I'll tell you later.
I'll tell you later.
Yeah.
Before Maz comes back, we'll tell you all. It's like, no, don't tell him. We'll tell you another time. And then it just never happens.
Yeah.
Or the more recent, there's an address on this.
Yeah. yes.
We'll get back to you in 5 business days. Yeah.
I feel like that. I wanted to have the last Skywalker because, again, I thought it was a travesty that he was killed. I thought we should have ended with at least one Skywalker standing. I mean, I felt like we should have seen all of our Force ghosts in that scene, not just heard their voices.
Have you seen that fan edit where they bring all of them back as Force ghosts?
Oh, yeah. That made that so much better for me. I was like, if you would have done that.
It was too far gone at that point, but I loved the sentiment.
Yes. And, like, I just felt like, God, wouldn't that have been, like, amazing to have seen, Anakin and Luke talking to each other and, like, encouraging Rey and Ben to fight against Palpatine. I was like, this just doesn't make any sense. And I thought it was a lot of bait and switch on their part with the title. Like,
grifter.
Right. Totally. I'm a total grifter about that. I'm like, if you're going to call a movie The Rise of Skywalker, like, make it The Rise of a real Skywalker. Like, whatever. And so I needed to have a Skywalker in order to carry on the Skywalker legacy.
What if he said that? What if it was Ben that Ben survived? He picks up the saber, and who are you? Because he's never been on Tatooine. Well, I guess he wouldn't be recognized by the old lady. And he says, "I'm Ben Skywalker." Like,
and then Rey's just like, "Who are you talking to out there?"
Honestly, I've lost a lot of blood. I don't really know what's going on right now.
Who are you?
No, actually, A21 edits. I do want to address that.
Oh yeah, let's talk about this.
Okay, so we have a Facebook page. So you guys can. We have a link tree, so all my mods can prop that up. There's a link tree in there. Their socials are in there. Exclamation point, darling. But yeah. So we have a Facebook page. Brand new. Almost all of our social media is brand new. Our website is brand new. Everything's brand new, including this channel, right? And so on Facebook, we have 1.4 million views on this post.
What?
When we released the teaser trailer. And there's like a gazillion comments and all this kind of stuff. Okay. And some of the questions I confirmed, I said yes, because somebody asked. And I said, yes, Anakin Skywalker and Luke Skywalker are both Force ghosts in our fan film for episode 10. And I said that several times. It was several times over the last week.
Hayden and Mark are in it. It's confirmed. Holy shit.
It's confirmed, right? They're confirmed in the right. And I get emails. I think it was yesterday. I don't know when this whole thing broke. But in the morning, I started getting emails.
It was 2 days ago. All the channels dropping it.
Yeah, all emails and this and that and PMs and DMs and all that kind of stuff. And I get all of the stuff, and I'm like, dude, come on. So I talked to my friend Jason Ward. I know, but I gotta say, he is very honest to God, very well connected.
All kidding aside, best leaker on the internet. We have our differences, but best leaker on the internet.
Right. And he was like, yeah, no, that's not happening. Right. And I'm like, yeah, okay, so now I absolutely know that somebody took our comments and our confirmations about the fan film and this and that and just run for it. But this is the lesson, guys. We can't go like these leakers they latch onto everything, okay? And they turn rumors or speculation or whatever the case may be, they turn it almost into fact. And then
this is how we go viral.
This is how we go viral, right? But what also happens is then the people expect those things, right? The fans. That, oh yes, Hayden and Luke are gonna be in this next movie. And so when they go to see it and those expectations aren't met, then they hate the thing.
And it's all your fault, Maria.
And it's all my fault.
All your fault.
I blame Maria.
It was really crazy to see those comments crop up, to have you answer them, and then it was like a day and a half or 2 days later, I'm on Star Wars YouTube constantly.
Yep.
6 or 7 videos. Mm-hmm. Mark Hamill and Hayden Christensen returning for the Rey movie, and it's like,
we fucked up.
I don't think that means what you.
Right? Somebody messaged me and said, "I think Lucasfilm is going to steal your script," and I'm like, guys.
They haven't written the script yet.
Well, no. They have, but nonetheless, okay. They could come in here and take everything. That's the nature of IP, and King's advisor can probably speak to that. They own the IP. They can come in here and take whatever they want. They can take any ideas they want from any fan film at any point in time.
Maria, we're gonna get the Chosen One in 2027. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
They just got to recast me as Pedro.
That's right. I love that. So yeah. So we are bringing
Pedro
back
Pascal?
Whoa. Yeah.
Listen,
we just put a helmet on whoever. We just sent whoever out there, put a helmet on, and he could do the voice because
X-Wing just has his hat on top of it.
Pedro
just the
wasn't
X hat on the Beskar helmet.
Didn't I say this, X? Like, I don't know how long ago I said, listen, Pedro Pascal was never on set for season 3, not
season
once.
3.
Not once, and he just confirmed it.
Wow.
He just owned up to that, didn't he?
Yeah, he just confirmed that. So
it was me.
It was me. Yeah, so for sure, we're going to have Ben back. I felt like so the Chosen One literally picks up right as Ben dies. Like it will start right then. There's no time lapse at all. And it kind of uses very creative pockets within the Rise of. So if you're watching The Rise of Skywalker, there are certain pockets where I've stuck certain things into. So I've been very creative about that. So it's not a retcon, but it's kind of like a reimagine of maybe the last 20 minutes of The Rise of Skywalker. So That's hard to do, guys. Okay.
You wreck on the sequels. You wreck on the sequels. You're our savior. All the salty Star Wars fans. You wreck on the sequels.
Yeah, for sure. And so I there's creative little nuggets where I've inserted certain things, and you get to see that in The Chosen One. So I think we are going to talk a little bit now about my favorite topic, which is the Old Republic. Despite all of the things that divide us, most fans would agree that the Old Republic is by far one of the greatest eras of Star Wars. What makes it so? Why does this timeline resonate with so many fans? Who are the characters that define the era? And what makes them so special? And the cameras do take a little bit to load. That's the only
We're going
thing.
to come back. There we go.
That's all. That's
Red
the
5
only
standing by.
We're coming out of light speed.
Breaking news. Yes, King. Breaking news. All right. So yeah, my favorite. I mean, listen, I come at this. I don't know if I don't even think I even said anything about this, but I am the CEO of a gaming company, game development company. And so I'm deeply involved in the game development industry and in a lot of the video games that are put out there from Respawn, EA primarily. And I do work for BioWare and stuff like that. But mostly I find what's called staff augmentation is really what I do. So studios will have X number of in-house resources, and then they'll need to like augment that with contractors. And so I'm the one that they come to for that, right? But and what they do with me personally is they'll contract me to do story consulting, okay? And so so that's kind of like my background. And so to talk a little bit about Knights of the Old Republic. I love that game.
Good old KOTOR.
I love that game. I just love that game. I love the story of that game. I love everything about it. And then I love Star Wars The Old Republic, the MMO game. That's amazing with all the cinematics that they put out are so clutch. Like those cinematics, you're just like, why can't we have this in our movies? Like, what is going on?
And they you can go on YouTube and watch that. It's like it's almost like 45 minutes. It's the Old Republic cinematics movie. It is incredible.
It really is. It really, really is. And so I think if there's anything like I said, I don't think I've ever met a fan that has not been a fan of the Old Republic. Even the new ones, they'll be like, oh, I started liking Star Wars with The Force Awakens, and then I looked up, I was like, thumbling through YouTube, right? And I found these cinematics, and boy, are they wonderful. Like, and then you get the people like me that are original trilogy babies, and they're like, hey, yeah, bro, you may have been looking at YouTube videos. I was actually playing the games, right? So I think that is like kind of like the common ground factor there. And for me, there's just, Darth Revan, the almighty Darth Revan.
Oh, baby.
That is probably, that's my third favorite character. My first one is, of course, he's on this panel, Anakin Skywalker. And the second one is Ben Solo. I actually really love Ben Solo. And so, give me a Darksider, like a Jedi that falls and comes back, and I'm in love. So, yeah. But let's talk.
I've been known to dabble.
You've been known to dabble. Yes. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the big man in the room. The big villain. X.
Yes. I feel like Trey Parker and Matt Stone at the Oscars. What an incredible opportunity. What a beautiful night. It's so incredible.
Wasn't they high on when they on Valium or something?
They took acid,
and
they put dresses on. Yeah, this is totally something I would do at an award ceremony. But no, it's so cool because when you look at the Old Republic compared to the prequels, compared to the original trilogy, it's kind of fun because you have your sort of like based, grounded storytelling in the original trilogy. You move to the prequels, and it's like a little bit more fantastic. It's a little more crazy, but you got the Jedi at kind of the height of their power, and so you get to see them using Jedi powers that you would never see Luke Skywalker use in the original trilogy. Then you go to the Old Republic, and like, this is the myth. This is the Knights of the Round Table. This is, King Arthur and Lancelot, like these crazy, awesome, embellished stories of these massive wars with insanely powerful Sith, insanely powerful Jedi going head to head. And it really kind of fulfills that itch of Star Wars fans to see, like, what if we took this thing and turned it up to 99? Mm-hmm. And that's what I love about the Old Republic, is it's Star Wars, but it's like you turn that thing up to 11 and let's just see what happens.
Yes,
like, what can we do?
Yeah.
And so they used a medium that was great for it too. Right?
Yeah, when you use that when you use that CG, you can do things you could never do with live actors. You can create fleets that are so all these different things, and there are echoes of the original trilogy in the Old Republic. You still have the Han Solo character, you still have the Leia, you still have the Luke Skywalker, you have all these different people, but the lines are so blurred and they're muddied in this gigantic,
beautifully so.
Yeah, beautifully so in this gigantic civil war, but it is still firmly rooted in the good and the evil. And that's why I hate when people say there's like gray Jedi and stuff like that, because the Old Republic was very much, if you use the dark side, it will corrupt you. It will transform you into this monster. And if you stay in the light, you will be a Jedi. And so it was very defined in that way. And it's just got an old, like an Old Testament feel to it. And that's what I love about the Old Republic.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
That was long-winded. I apologize.
No. I love it. How many of you guys, besides like myself, I mean, I'm old, right? I'm 48. I don't look it. But,
not old.
But I am 48. But how many of you guys actually have played the Knights of the Old Republic video games?
No.
I never did.
It rivals the turn in Empire. The surprise in that game rivals the turn in Empire.
1,000,000%, yeah.
Tyler, that surprises me. I thought you would have done.
Mm-hmm.
But no.
Yeah. I can't believe, Zach, you actually played that, because, I mean, most young people don't.
No,
it's kind of hard
yeah.
Because it's kind of hard to
played
navigate and so on, right?
Yeah, I played it when probably about the end of high school, and I Bastila was like, I had a huge crush on Bastila.
Oh,
so
100%.
It took me 3 playthroughs to romance her, because I kept doing it wrong. Like, she friend zoned me the first time, and then the second time she didn't like me because I went dark side, and then finally I did on the 3rd time. But yeah.
Yep. Blew my pants off. That's exactly right. That's pretty funny. King.
I think there's a particular kind of like video game person that likes that. I mean, like your boilerplate Bethesda game player likes that kind of stuff. It's a very open world. You make decisions that affect you down the road, but eventually it ends up in the same spot.
Yeah, it's so great. It's such a great journey. Such an amazing story, and such a great way of storytelling it. Right? I love. Did you guys play both? Did you play for the 1 and 2?
Yes.
Yeah, they're on Switch, by the way. They're ported on Switch. So if you want to play them, play them now, because I think, I could be mistaken, but I think we're going to start looking at that as a place. As, I don't know if Disney will, but.
Well, there is the KOTOR remake.
Yeah.
And while that has struggled, very much struggled, it's still pretty much something that they do want to do. And they are not, and I can say this, they are not changing the story. So thank God.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it was rumored they were changing it, right? That was like the big conversation.
They're not changing the story,
the
but
conversation was that they hired a writer to rewrite the story.
Oh.
That was the big controversy. There was an article that they hired a writer to rewrite the story, but that's since been
debunked.
Yeah.
Right? So we do hire writers when we do a remake, because we have to have, there's quest writing and things like that we want to update and whatnot. But I will say that some of the things that we can change is like, and yeah, I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, here we go again. Right? But some gender, swapping and things like that. to make it more.
Oh, that's what it was.
Quote unquote diverse, right? Quote unquote diverse. I mean, I'm so tired of that word. I'm a leftist liberal. Like, I'm not all the way left. I'm actually quite moderate, but I'm a Democrat, and I totally believe in all that kind of stuff. It's just been too much, yeah. Like, wait, we have gone too far. And I don't want to talk too much about politics because that's not really what this channel's for. But I just it's fine that is happening. If it's subtle enough, it's not going to bother me at all. But what really would bother me is if we just up and totally told a different story.
Well, Star Wars fans love strong female characters.
We've had them
since
day
wrong.
one.
Yeah,
I mean,
hello.
hello.
Tell me I'm wrong.
Carrie Fisher, thank you so much.
Yeah, as long as it's written well, right? If it's at the detriment of sacrificing a good story, then of course people are gonna hate on it. And then when you fucking label it as it's not.
It is.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I'm tired of being angry about it. I'm fine.
Yeah, absolutely. and so for me, it was like, okay, so please do not mess with the story. It's brilliant the way it is. And the thing is about it is we recognize that it's a brilliant story. Like, I think game developers, I gotta tell you, I think game developers, if any of us really turned into full-fledged filmmakers, we'd be a powerhouse.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? Yes.
Mm-hmm. Because we can write really good stories. I mean, look at The Last of Us, right? Fallen Order. Can we talk about Fallen Order? Survivor?
Yeah, Jedi Survivor was pretty spot on.
Yeah, no. I mean, a lot of people, at least an 8 for that game. I know that Fallen Order got a little higher in the ratings for that. But, you kind of expect a second game to kind of come down a little bit. I don't think it came down for me personally. I mean, Fallen Order for me is a 9.5. And Survivor for me is like a 9, honestly. I mean, there was a couple, I didn't quite like the whole High Republic being kind of forced in there. So I'm with you on that. Yes, I'm with you on that. But other than that, I mean, it wasn't, and the thing is that even though they did that, it wasn't intrusive. Like, I didn't feel like it was intrusive into the story at all.
Well, the thing about game developers is that you have to write a 40-hour-long interactive movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know why I never thought of this. Yeah, game developers need to be writing the movies. You have to do a 40-hour movie. Mm-hmm. These Hollywood elitists writing these sequel trilogies only how to do 3 hours.
Exactly. So I am quite ready. And so one of the things that is super cool for me is being able to bring Emperor Vitiate into this movie. Because what do you do with a villain that cannot die?
Keep fighting him.
Right?
So this was the cool part about what we talked about earlier, where the bloodline continues, and so long as there is light, the dark will rise to meet it. If the dark rises, the light will continue to rise to meet it. And so, what do you do with a guy who basically can't die? I mean, this is essentially, look, I'm not putting this down at all, but this is very much like a Voldemort type character, except way harder to kill. Way harder to kill.
Yeah.
And has been here for far longer than somebody like Voldemort could be. So, it's so interesting to see this power in the universe that has been there since. I mean, we're talking about sticks and rocks and mud huts days of the Force, way, 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 way back, all the way now into, essentially the new age of the universe. And it totally made sense for me as soon as you said that Vitiate was coming back, that this would be the most logical villain to come back in this time frame. Who else could it be? I mean, it's even stated in the movie. I'm not going to say the line, but I mean, really, who else could it be?
Yeah.
Who else? There was no other Sith that was capable of it. You had guys that were close. I mean, Darth Bane, you could say Darth Bane got close with his essence transfer, and maybe there are portions of him that still basically live in the universe to this day. But when it comes to complete and complete and total dominion overall, there's only one guy that's ever been able to do that.
Yep, I totally agree. And so I'm super excited for him. One of the things about him is
Did you see what Dog just said?
What?
Voldemort couldn't even take over a high school.
Or a K through 12 school.
That's true. That's true. That's actually really true. So, I feel like, just he is the next logical sense, and who doesn't want to see him come back? Like, honestly, he was just such a pivotal part of the Old Republic story, especially SWTOR. I mean, he's such a presence in that game. And gosh, we could go on forever. And the way he comes back. Exactly.
Yeah. A lot of people aren't going to know who he is, though.
Right,
and so that's kind of an important thing, is reintroducing him and letting him know, like, who is this guy? And, obviously show don't tell, but there will be a portion that basically lets you know, like, who is this dude? Where has he been? What has he been doing? Like, what?
Yeah, there's
what
gonna be a
is
ton
this
of people
thing?
that have no idea who he is.
They have
right?
no idea who he is.
No
And
Old
so-
Republic knowledge, nothing, right? So
Yeah,
it's gonna be interesting
and
to see
that's
how
going to
they
be
react.
really, really exciting for us as a team to like put that together, because I mean it is pretty dark. I'm gonna warn people. It's pretty dark, but we love a good dark Star Wars. Now, don't we?
Lightsabers actually remove limbs here.
Like, we didn't even have to get permission.
Yeah.
Because yes, Respawn actually get permission to add that, by the way. So,
They don't just bounce off a stormtrooper armor like Kenobi.
Absolutely.
We
And
don't
you know,
speak of that.
and I can't wait for everybody to like really see how we bring him back, because it's very interesting. I mean, he's not just immediately back and like, super powerful.
Somehow.
Yeah, somehow. There's no
This isn't
somehow.
he's been on a random planet for 5,000 years. Like, no, none of that.
No.
Go play KOTOR.
Go play KOTOR, because you will know that he was encased in freaking carbonite, right? But if there's anyone that would like, have the will to like, push through that, it's gonna be him. And just the way, and you see his journey, you see the character arc, and you see the growth in him, because he's having to acquire certain things to make him be able to be the Emperor Vitiate we know. He's not automatically there, and he is kind of like intertwined with another person who isn't force sensitive. So there's a lot of limitations to him, which make it very interesting, So really can't wait for that to kind of come to fruition.
Thank you for giving love to a villain. That was one thing I feel like was missing so big from the sequel trilogy, was love for villains. Because again, you had Snoke, and then Snoke dies. It's like, yeah, whatever. And then who's back? Oh, I guess it's Palpatine.
It's all about the good guys.
Yeah.
It's all about the
It
good
was
guys.
worth it. Rose
Yeah,
Tico.
for sure. and I want to say, like, I know we've gone over what I thought we would be, so we've gone a little bit over here. But we're gonna cut it here. But I do want to let you guys know we've prepared like a rolling credits for you for this show, and we are debuting Mr. Vince Cox's rendition, original score for Emperor Vitiate, and X-Men's gonna get up and do a happy dance. He's gonna get up and do a happy dance. So do stay tuned, guys. We are gonna have more of these chats and more panelists. We're gonna have actors roundtable. We're gonna have artists come on and talk about the art. We're gonna have like I said, Zach, myself, and Catherine Newsom. We're going to have a little rewrite Star Wars series, so that you guys can kind of like help us put together and make better Star Wars, because you know what? Fans do it better. Right?
Do the YouTube thing, Maria. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share this thing out, tell all your friends.
If you think that
Bring in
fans
Star Wars
could
back,
do it
baby.
better, if fans do it better, hit that like button right now.
I love it. I want to thank my amazing panelists, and I want to give a shout out to Vince, because you know what? He's in Great Britain. It's like 3-4 o'clock in the morning for him.
Oh,
so.
it's definitely 4.
It's definitely
Might as well
4.
just stay up now, mate.
That's
I
commitment.
know, right? He's like, I gotta go to sleep.
You're back to work.
Thanks, guys, everyone. Please follow us on social media. Hit the like. Do not forget to hit the like, and subscribe to us. And Visit our website. We have a beautiful website made by Elke Fried, who helped me design all of that, and also Catherine Newsom helped me design all that. So the website is there for you guys to learn more about us. We're going to have updates on there and schedules and events and all that good stuff. So thank you so much, panelists. Thanks to my team. You guys are just the best. I love you guys. I could not be more blessed to be making Star Wars with all of you. So
prepare to have your pants blown off by this beautiful Vince Cox music.
Yes! All right, guys, take care.